Hi, everyone. So let me introduce to you Monarch Mining Corporation, which is the results of a spinoff from the transaction with Monarch Gold and Yamana Gold last January. So without any further ado, let me start by presenting the company. So why would you like to invest in Monarch? Well, the first of the asset or favor for Monarch is we have a strong pipeline of development projects, exploration and advanced mining project. We have a $19 million of cash in the bank. As you could see yesterday, we announced a bought deal for $6 million. That would be in addition to the $19 million of cash. We own 100% of all our projects, which includes a fully permitted mill, the Beacon Mill, which is currently permitted at 750 tons per day. We offer an attractive valuation vis-a-vis our peers. We offer a fully integrated mining company with the Beaufor mine, which is currently undergoing a 42,000 meter drill campaign that would be feeding the Beacon Mill. The production potential is 25,000 ounces a year, but we will actually explain why this could increase a lot more in the coming years following some discovery near a ramp that we have to access one side of the Beaufor mine. The Beacon has excess capacity, the Beacon Mill, potential for custom milling of other projects in the area. And we have a total combined resource estimate of measured, indicated, and inferred of close to 1 million ounces. We also have developing key project around the mill. We got the McKenzie Break, which is roughly 35 kilometers from the mill. Fully financed phase of drilling. We currently have 2 drills on the premises. And we have the Croinor Gold, which is about 60 kilometers from the current milling facility. And it's a fully permitted mine ready to go. And we are doing compilation underway right now and preparing hopefully another exploration campaign as we published a few weeks ago. Why Monarch? Well, we have a proven track record of making good transaction, turning them in winning transaction. As you can see, the $25 million deal with Richemont in 2017 got turned into a $200 million transaction within 36 months. The board members have a lot of prior M&A involvement from GBAR, Clifton Mining, Richemont, and Detour. So it's something to keep in mind that we have a solid board assisting management to move forward in different potential ideas that we're advancing. The corporate overview, we have 69 million shares outstanding, 75 fully diluted. Again, the cash position, as I mentioned earlier, is 19, but most closer to 25 million as we speak. We have a market cap of 60 million, enterprise value of 40. The combined, as you can see, the ounces, we talked about that, close to 1 million. We have analyst coverage from Sprott Capital Partners, Laurentian Bank as well. The corporate structure has a lot of good shareholders. We got Alamos for 13%, Yamana Gold. Together combined, they have 20% of the company. We have institution in Quebec. We're renowned for having institutions that support the mining industry. Board and management has 3%, and other mining partners close to 10%. The retail side of it is 48%. We have a handful of individuals that control 50% of that 48%. So it's a very tightly held company. The valuation upside, we're sitting at $44 per ounce underground. That gives you a very good point of entry for added value over time. And so now you could see the map on the screen, which is the Val-d'Or East sector of the Abitibi. You could see in gold all the properties that we own. In total, we have 4 properties. You get the blue square, which is the current mill facility, the Beacon Mill. And you can see that total combined, we have about 287 square kilometers of mining claims that cover the 4 properties. And you know that Quebec is one of the best jurisdiction in the world for mining. It's up in the top 10. And the Abitibi region itself produced more than 125 million ounces over the last century. Our focus for 2021, as far as advancing the project, Beaufor is currently undergoing a $5 million exploration campaign. We got about 24,000 meters done on the 42 projected. The project itself is on care and maintenance. The size of the property is about 6 square kilometers. And again, we have about 125 of all combined resource. We're scheduled to release a resource estimate on Beaufor sometime during the summer 2021. McKenzie has 2 drill on the premises. We have allocated about 3.5 million of exploration on the project. About 400,000 ounces sits on the resource estimate right now, both open pit and underground. Again, this project is 100% owned by Monarch. And finally, the Croinor Gold has about 250,000 ounces of 9-gram material in M&I category. The budget for Croinor is about 1.5 million for the next year, and it includes potentially a bulk sampling study for adding more tonnage to the Beacon Mill through a bulk sampling. The Beaufor mine was injected with a $5 million financing from Caisse de dépôt du placement du Québec, which is our Quebec pension fund. Again, the project's 100% owned. It's on care and maintenance. We have secured the $5 million against a royalty, 3%, which is going to go to 2 and potentially to 1 over time. Those were very good terms for the royalty. So we started the 42,000 meter drill campaign last summer, and we pursued through keeping the asset with Monarch Mining after the spinoff. And if you look at the third line, if we're looking at the third line over here, this is probably one of the best hit that we've had, so far. And I'll explain why it's so important, that 36 grams over 10 meter zone, which was seen again about 20 meter further with an 11 gram over close to 6 meters. We mandated BBA for an update on mineral resource, and we are currently driving an exploration shift at the bottom of the mine in order to be able to check below the current and known resource of the Q zone, and I'll show that to you on the next screen. So you can see here the Beaufor was separated. The Beaufor campaign of 42,000 meter was separated in 4 sectors of the mine. So we had the near mine exploration, we had the longer underground drill holes, we had the below the current workings, and we had the surface drill holes that were aiming at the ramp. And I'll tell you in a second why that was probably one of the important factor in what just happened. So if you look at the mine itself, so those are all the longitudinal section of the current Beaufor mine, which goes down to about 800, 900 meter deep. So you could see from a BTB standpoint, it's very shallow at the moment. So we build basically an exploration gallery right here parallel to that square box. So we were able to actually start drilling at the perfect angle and discovering how deep does the deposit can go. And as I mentioned earlier, we're only sitting at 900 meter deep. So that gives us a much better angle to start looking at the bottom. So far the success came in near the ramp, and that will change the way we see Beaufor as far as bottleneck for production. So far, I will take the next screen. So basically, for the last 30 years of Beaufor mine life, all the ore that was produced in the mine was coming through in and out of the shaft of the Beaufor mine. And we limited the capacity to 400 tons per day. That was the maximum capacity that could come out through the mine. And that way, we were limited potentially at a 6 gram material, 6-7 gram to 25,000 ounces a year of production. So there was some exploitation made in the early 2010 where they started building a ramp, and they went to get a few section during mining. And then at the time, Beaufor was under Richemont as management, and they basically stopped doing some exploration in that sector, and they focused everything on the Ontario Island Gold deposit. And kudos to them, they sold it for $1 billion. But they left behind some unexplored territory on that ramp. So this is what we've been doing. And if you look right up here near the surface, that's where we hit that 36 grams over 10 meters. And it sits about 50 to 100 meters behind that sheet of mineralized zone that we have here. So why is this so important in the story of Monarch? Is because now we can actually bring tonnage back from the ramp to surface, and we can bring tonnage back from the shaft as well, therefore ramping up potentially with the right amount of reserve closer to the 750 tons per day of the mill. And that would bring us much closer to a 50,000 ounces a year plus production. So that's going to change the whole dynamic of Beaufor, because it's going to give us a lot more room to make this project profitable. So as we hit some more zone, as we went down, in exploration, as you can see over here, we started thinking that we may have a ramp that's going to keep going down and eventually reattach to the mine, and therefore giving us option when we come back from the bottom of the mine to send the ore, a certain way, and basically send through the shaft maybe the muck with no mineralization, and basically creating some kind of a, I'm sorry to do all these drawings, but it's giving you a better idea of the flow, how the mine could be much better exploited that way. So carrying on with the next slide, you can see a lot better all these sheets of mineralization we keep hitting, and you can see some of the results as high as 780 grams per ton, 150, 180. So there's a lot of potential, and I like to think that, when we look at the original Beaufor mine, well, maybe we have the twin brother coming along right here. And if that's the case, we're hopeful that this could be a very good success. Now, if you look at just that original Beaufor mine right here during the last 30 years, this produced 1.2 million ounces of gold. So it gives us a lot of hopes for what's going on next door through the ramp. But rest assured, we will be exploiting the mine in the coming years with the usage of the ramp as well as the shaft, and hopefully bring Beaufor to the right, the right success it deserves after all these years. So you could see the Beaufor mine where it sits vis-a-vis all the other projects in the region. We were only down to 900 meter deep. And you could tell some of the mine in the BTB went as deep as 3 kilometers deep. And the latest Kina Deep discovery was at around 1,600 meters. So there's a whole 800 meter of unexplored zone at Beaufor that we're confident we're going to fill in with some type of mineralization. And therefore, hopefully, we're reopening in the next year the Beaufor mine for another 30 years. The second project is McKenzie Break. I gotta say, this project is 100% ours. We had about 150,000 ounces not so long ago on the project. We redid a calculation after 15,000 meters of drilling, and look at those drill results, all double digit, decent width, and all near surface within 300 meters from surface, 350 meters from surface. So very hopeful that the McKenzie Break is, a nice project to remember. If there's a name you want to remember as a blue sky project in Abitibi, that's definitely something we got to look for. We've spaced the mineralized zone, we go out 25 meters at a time, sometimes 50, 75. So we're getting a very good continuity on the project. Now you can see from an aerial view what it looks like. So when we first advanced the project McKenzie, we only had the 2018 pit shell, which was 150,000 ounces. And as we started drilling with only 15,000 meter drill campaign, we made that pit much bigger, and we started hitting a very juicy zone on the right-hand side of the screen here. And this is where we hit the 32 grams for 7 meters. 60 gram over 3 meters. So there's a lot of good hits. So right now we're having 2 drills on the premises. One of them is checking the expansion on this front, and we have another one coming and checking the expansion on this one. In about a few weeks from now, drill 1 and drill 2 will slowly move in more of an exploration turf, so we can start having a better understanding of the size of the deposit. So if you look at the current screen, the property itself right now that I'm drawing is roughly 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer, and we own 70 square kilometer around that property. So a lot to come. We only have a small royalty on 9 claims, which are included in the screen, but we own altogether, I think it's a little over 300 claims. So there's really nothing there as far as royalty. So very exciting project to move forward with. Croinor project, again, fully permitted mine, 100% owned by Monarch, 250,000 ounces of resource of 9 gram material. The project itself all sits near surface. We're only down to about 350 meter deep. All the ounces are contained in that sector. A lot of good grades as well in metal factor, as you can look at some of our best results at the project. It's got a 43-101 update, but also all the permits are in place. So we're actually looking to do bulk sampling in the summer 2022. As we have some extra wiggle room at the mill, we'll be able to treat that as well. The land package itself around Croinor is good to know. We're sitting on 150 square kilometer of property. Again, big land. The more you discover, the more likely this could become potentially a mining camp. These are pictures of our milling facility. You could see these pictures are fairly recent. It was fully refurbished in 2012 and barely used. So we're actually looking to turn the switch on November 1st this year. We're currently undergoing a lot of upgrade and fixing of the mill. We expect to spend about $5 million on that upgrade and fixing, and we'll be able to start the mill by November. It sits only 7 kilometers from Beaufor mine. When Beaufor was exploiting with the Camflo mill back in 2019, we were trucking it down 60 kilometers to the Camflo mill. So now we're basically going to go a lot further, a lot faster to the mill with 7 kilometers only to the mill. And that should give us great economies for the transport as well. This is the management team and board. You got myself and our team on this side, and then you got a very tightly, mean team of 5 people on the board of directors. We got Michel Bouchard, who has a lot of experience in the field. It's been around for more than 30 years. Geologist, MBA, and a great guy to do some M&A or run some M&A ideas. Guylaine Daigle owns a drilling company. Laurie was, involved with the Detour Gold project and mine for many years. And Christian Pichette, last but not least, was the chief operating officer at Richemont Mines. And he joined the board of Monarch after leaving Richemont for retirement. And it's great to have this mining engineer on our team. In conclusion, you got a well-funded, newly created company in Abitibi, 19 million, soon to be 25 million of cash, close to 1 million ounces under our belt in one of the top leading jurisdiction in the world. We own 100% of everything. There's no debt on the company right now on the balance sheet. We control our destiny, and we're one of the rare mill owner on the Trans-Canada Highway going through the whole Cadillac Fault. We got management with proven track record. We have a cash flow opportunity from the restart of Beaufor within 8 to 14 months. All permits and infrastructure are in place at the Beaufor mine, like I said earlier. Same thing with the Beacon Mill. We offer a low share count of 69 million shares, and that will allow future M&A transaction and opportunistic financing when we feel that it's appropriate. And we offer an attractive valuation at $44 per ounce on the ground vis-a-vis our peers. This is definitely a good place to get in the moment, at the moment. We recently updated all our 43-101, and the Beaufor mine will get a new fresh start at the 43-101 before the end of the summer. There's additional information on the website on the corporate presentation. You can just skip through and go to the end. You could see the primary location in Abitibi and see the neighbors such as Agnico Eagle, Canadian Malartic, West Dome, Eldorado, Probe, and O3. So this gives you a better idea of, who we're, brushing elbows with. So this is the type of neighbors we have, and we're one of the only one with our own mill for smaller companies in the area for custom milling. Finally, but not least, you could see on page 20, you could see the ounces per property. So it gives you a better idea where all the ounces sits on our close to 1 million ounces portfolio. So thank you very much. Of course, the forward-looking cautionary statement. If you invest in mining, do it wisely and carefully. And, in particular case, don't put your mortgage on that. But you would like to have some exposure to success story. This is definitely an exciting place to be.
Jean-Marc, thank you so much for that. A very good in-depth share from the company's perspective. And as always, when that happens, for our audience, the questions come flowing in, and we certainly have quite a number to get to. So I'll move over to some of the Q&A from those joining us. And feel free, folks, to continue to add questions as we move along here. So I'll start here, Jean-Marc, with the question that comes. Given the success of selling Monarch Gold to Yamana in early 2021, what are the goals for the next for the new Monarch Mining over the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, thanks for the question. First of all, the 3 to 5 year, this is my type of target. We would like, and again, cautionary statement here, our goal would be to become a 100,000 ounces plus a year producer by between the 3rd and the 5th anniversary of the new co. But we intend to do that in a very conservative manner. We want to generate cash flow. We want to grow organically. And we want to seize opportunities of M&A positioning in the region if we feel that's going to make us achieve our target of 100,000 ounces a year faster. Of course, right now we're drilling, we're adding on ounces. I'm confident that by the end of this year, we'll have way over 1 million ounces. Again, it's just based on the drilling results. No sure thing yet. But as the resource estimate comes out on Beaufor and eventually McKenzie after the drilling, we're hopeful that we can breach that gap of less than 100,000 to reach 1 million ounces. So that's our goal for the next 36 to 60 months.
Terrific. Jean-Marc, thank you for that. Question comes through also. Do you think we'll see more consolidation in the Abitibi mining camp?
Well, I like to think that I've done my part. When I was the CEO of Monarch Gold, we bought 13 properties from 5 different companies that are no longer. So we think if you look at just the eastern part of Val-d'Or, where we showed you the map earlier, there was about 20 to 25 companies together when I started in 2012 with Monarch Gold. And now there's about 5 big guys in that region. There's, of course, smaller juniors that are starting to mushroom around. But we did a very clean up in the last 7 years. And I think the top 5 right now are sitting with some of the most promised land in that sector.
Terrific. Thank you for that. Jacques posted a question as well, saying originally GBAR thought the Beaufor restart could happen in perhaps January 22. Curious to know what changed there. And also, what are the key challenges in being able to achieve the new June 22 restart?
So the idea at first, without going into details, there's a limited amount of information we can share publicly. without triggering some obligation from Monarch of publishing reserve and publishing studies and feasibility study. So we're trying to be very careful in what we say and what we do. There is definitely a lot of action inside Monarch right now. We're scheduled to start developing some corridors to the different stopes as early as September. So yes, we'll definitely look to be active in production by Q1 2022. But before we make it a public statement, I always like to take our time, make sure we get all the results in front of us. But as we speak, we already gave some go ahead with a bunch of hiring, a bunch of equipment buying, so that you should read in between the lines that this is happening. So that's pretty much the answer to Jacques. What was the second part? If we're confident by June, for sure. We're doing this for the main purpose of being hopefully able to pour a brick of gold in Q1. I would love to get a brick of gold for Christmas. I did ask the question.
Fair enough.
But let's see what happens. Maybe Santa will come early.
We could hope, especially everything that's happened in the last year and a half on the planet. Speaking of generation, George asks, how much cash do you hope to generate during the year 2022?
The goal 2022 will be a very important year for us. The idea is to generate north of 10 million of cash. We'd like to do a lot more. We think we can do more, but 10 million is very conservative considering we'll be in a ramping up, and there's a lot of stuff that can happen in the first year. So on our budget, we have a secret number that's a little bit higher than 10 million. But if we could generate 10 million, it would be a very good achievement internally, and it would put us in a very good position to start being a consolidator in the region.
Understood. Thank you for that, Jean-Marc. A question comes through about Beaufor as well. What is the targeted annual production at that site?
So again, we have to be careful with that. Originally, when we closed down, the last year was a little bit under 20,000 ounces. We are hopeful we could probably achieve the 25,000 that we had the last year of mining. Okay. But ultimately, with the access to the ramp, as I explained earlier, with a little bit of drawing in there, we think that the tonnage could go up to 750 tons per day very rapidly. And if we do that with the right grade, we could be closing into 40,000 ounces.
Beautiful. Thank you for that perspective. Jeremy's asking a technical question here. Are you finding that access to drilling equipment in the Abitibi is challenging? And also, what do you think thoughts around development costs in that region?
Okay, so basically, yes, it is very difficult to get drills in the region. The fact that gold is strong right now definitely brings capital to the market, and therefore capital to the drilling side. The drillers, as much as they were always wanting for more business, they're overwhelmed now with business. It's tough to get some good drilling companies to come and supply drills. But the good news, we're in Abitibi, and we do drill during the summer. And a lot of drills becomes, available after the winter drill season. Some people drill in the winter because they go on, wetlands and stuff like that. So as soon as the spring starts, a lot of drills comes available. So we were able to scoop 2 drills for the McKenzie Break. So that's really good. The cost is probably 10 to 20% higher than we anticipated on development. Okay. And same thing on the drilling. The drilling must have jumped at least 20% in the last 6 months alone. Okay.
Yeah, fair perspective. Thank you for the openness there. Jacques is asking also another question about what items are key in the refurbishment of Beacon Mill?
So in our case, we are basically looking back at all that was done on the electricity basis. So on our $5 million budget for the mill, 1.5 million is going strictly to the electricity side of it, making sure we upgrade and we can actually turn this mill in a bigger mill down the road. So we are putting a few items in, and we have a budget of 1.5. On the rest of the budget, it's mostly prep for employees, pumping material, crushing equipment, behind the crushers, liners. So those are all stuff that needs to be re-verified, checked. Pumps have to be back on to see which one are giving us a hard time. So, but so far we're feeling pretty good about that $5 million budget for the Beacon Mill.
Terrific. Thank you, Jean-Marc. A couple of questions remaining here. Move over to a question that comes in. Is there a reason why you completed a financing at 80 cents at this time?
Yeah, sometimes you can't see too much what's going on behind the scenes, but we struggled last week to find. We had a big buyer of shares from a private fund that wanted to come into Monarch, and those funds they come rarely into a stock or a company the size of Monarch. And when they do want to come in, we started calling some of our legacy shareholder, trying to find some blocks to fill in the order, and they either want to in or out, and we can find sellers. There's no sellers of Monarch per se. You might see the occasional 100,000 shares here and there. There's no sellers. So we figured, because we're in the ramp up production and we might need some equity, because we were looking at debt financing and other types of financing for the mine. And we said there's an opportunity here to grab a very good legacy shareholder that would stay for the long run. And we saw that as an opportunity. So sometimes we get judged from shareholders why we go and finance, but you have to understand that we have a bigger plan in mind, and we can't share that with the public. We have to do it, and we have to take the heat. Some shareholders were unhappy, but we have to explain to them there's a bigger motive behind this whole thing.
Sure enough. We call that the 30,000-foot view, I guess, the big picture. I appreciate that, Jean-Marc, very much. Also, a question here. What do you think is the biggest challenge for junior gold producers in this market, and how do you plan to face said challenge?
On the producing side, like what we're going to become, there's one big factor everybody knows, and it's coming really fast, is the lack of labor. We have a big labor shortage in Abitibi, in the mining sector, and God forbid, more mines come to line. We have a lot going on right now. There's about 3 mines that are starting together. There's us, Odyssey from McKenzie Break. There's Kina Deep, and eventually Yamana Gold Wasamac Gold with Yamana. So there's a lot of pressure on the system right now for the labor. So we have a few tricks up our sleeve. We are close to the mining town, and those miners, pandemia, forcing them to go and do fly in, fly out with, hours of flight with masks. I think it's working in our favor right now. I mean, it's not nice for the other company, but we were able to recruit some good labor that people were fed up of flying, fly out. That was the biggest thing in the last 5 years before pre-pandemia. People wanted to be fly in, fly out to project because the pay was good and everything. But I have a feeling people in the last year want to be home for dinner.
I appreciate that very much, and let's hope that changes, but an interesting advantage in the marketplace there. I'm curious as well, Jean-Marc, for those that are new to investing in precious metals in particular, I've heard several times through the conference, of course, that Quebec is a very solid jurisdiction, and I'm wondering if you can share from your perspective why that is so.
So I would say that the main reason we get, well, first of all, the rules and regulation are still relatively friendly to miners. The whole Abitibi region was developed on mines in the early 1900s. So it's definitely a more welcoming attitude. We saw the Cree Nation in James Bay very much in favor of doing partnerships. So there is a friendly wind for mining in Quebec. We also have to be lucky because we have 2, 3, 4 funds in Quebec that will help from the exploration side of it to production. They will always be there as a listening ear and investing in early, medium, and full-fledged project, and that makes the province much friendlier for people to invest. So I would say that these are the factors that are good for Quebec, but ultimately we know what's going on around the world, and Quebec/Canada is a very friendly place. We have rules, we have regulation, and we respect those rules and regulation. And there's no change too much between governments after election, as we could see other places. So it makes it a very friendly place. So ounces are a bit more expensive to exploit in Quebec and Canada than, let's say, Africa or South America. But at the end of the day, you're guaranteed you'll be working for 20 years. You won't be stuck in the middle with a change of regime where, you know,
right.
I don't have to expend. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, absolutely. I appreciate that. We've touched on that topic with a few other international presenters as well. So I very much appreciate your perspective. And let's wrap up if we can here, Jean-Marc, about the opportunity for those of us that get to hear from your perspective inside the company. Obviously, challenges are a day-to-day, real life experience for every company that's in operation. But what's the most exciting thing being talked about inside the boardroom with your company?
Oh, okay. We're the victory of the Habs over the weekend.
Fair point.
No, we have a lot of ideas, inside Monarch, and I didn't have time at the intro to talk about myself, but I was at the CEO of a company called Golden Goose in the early 2004, 2010. We turned a property, Magino, of nothing to a $350 million transaction in 2012. We did the same again with Monarch Gold in 2021, $200 million transaction. So what's exciting is that we have a lot of ideas, and sometimes they're new, sometimes they're outside the box ideas. And even when we did the transaction with Richemont back in 2017, we had to engineer that trade, and it took a long time to come together. So right now we're excited about the development, but we have a few cards up our sleeves, and hopefully in the next quarters we'll come out and surprise everybody again.
Very good. Much appreciate that very much. The openness and the insights from inside the company, always appreciated from our viewers around the world. And we appreciate having you join us today. We look forward to watching the company moving forward, Jean-Marc, and I know we'll talk again.
Thank you very much, Mark. Good luck with the rest of your presenter. And thanks again for making this event a good success.
Much appreciated, Jean-Marc, and you've handed me a wonderful organic segue. I do want to take a moment to thank our sponsors, of course, Laurentian Bank, who stepped up to support the event, and Oberon Capital, our friends, very supportive. Also, Social Links and News Files. So thanks to those folks coming on board so we can create this event. And as they say, if you build it, they will come. We have people tuning in from all over the world. I encourage everyone to continue to drop questions for us each time we have a new session, and continue to interact in the chat. Also, the surveys help us make a better experience in the coming events. So thank you for that, Jean-Marc. My best to you, and stay safe. I'm grateful that we could have time today.